What's good, YouTube? It's Teflon Poppy, aka the Ghost with the Most. Today, we're gonna have a monitor selection video. Hopefully, I can help you guys, save some money or select the right pair of monitors. But before we get into this video, like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to smash that notification button for me. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're gonna talk about is your room size. What size room are you in? And the reason I want to ask you this is because something like this Yamaha HS8 would be too big if you're in like a fairly small room and your speaker has to be close up to the wall. All it's gonna do is send back a lot of early reflections from it being so close to the wall, and you're gonna get a lot of course, the bass is gonna be rumbling through the wall. I've had various setup with various, size studio monitors. I've had, these HS8s. I got these Atom A3Xs. I've had a pair of, these are 8-inch. This is 4.5-inch. The Leases I had, I think they were 3-inch. I had a pair of 5-inch JBLs, and I'm gonna talk about, each one of them, pros and cons and size of monitors, room size and stuff like that. So, like I said, if you're in something like an apartment or a fairly small room, this HS8 is gonna be too big unless, you have the room professionally treated. So your room size, like definitely buy speakers, depending on your room size, guys, because just like I said, I had these set up in a really small space, and all it did was piss off my neighbors and knock shit off their walls. So, that didn't really help me any if I got to, mix at super low volumes. That's why I went and bought a pair of reference monitors, these Atom A3Xs. So if you have a small room, you probably would want something more like an Atom, or like I want to say like a 3-inch, 5-inch speaker, and you could do something like get a sub to accommodate for the low end, because this is a great sounding speaker, but the low end, it just can't compete with this one because the cone on it is so much bigger. It's 8 inches as opposed to this one being 3.5 inches. 4.5 inches, I'm sorry. So I would get something like this if I had a small room, a 4.5-inch speaker, a 5.5-inch speaker. I would get a sub, so I could turn the bass on and off whenever I feel like it. But if you got a small room and you got something like this, man, I'm trying to tell you, the bass is just gonna be it's almost like having a sub, man. The bass is just gonna be way too thick, beating through the walls, vibrating everything, especially if the room isn't treated right. As you guys can see, I'm in a fairly large room, which isn't, my whole studio isn't finished yet, but you can see I'm in a large room, so I have a pair of 8-inch monitors, and my room is also treated, which makes a big difference, because even in a big room like this with no furniture in it, as empty as it is, I get a lot of reflection. So treating it actually did wonders for my monitors and the way they sound. Okay, so let's talk about some of the features on different speakers and what you would want and what to look for. So just like I said, again, I love these Atom A3Xs for small spaces because the Never Plus is the bass ports. This has front firing bass ports as opposed to something like this HS8 on the back has a rear facing bass port. And that's another reason why I was getting so much heat from my neighbors, is because the bass port is on the back. It's a big speaker, and shooting that air towards my wall, sending all the vibrations through it. So I went and bought a pair of small reference speakers like this. And the point is, that's why I made sure I got something with front facing bass ports. And that's why I love Atom so much, is because for one, this is clearly this is one of the best tweeters I've ever heard in my life. It's really amazing, especially after you get the speakers burned in. But I love Atom because of this. These front firing bass ports, man, shooting the bass forward as opposed to backwards, it alleviates a lot of things for me as far as, getting into my neighbors, anything like this. So I would definitely get a small pair of speakers if I had a small room. And then I would get, even if you're like a medium-sized room, you don't need these huge speakers, especially, if you're just making beats and stuff like that, or it depends on what type of music that you're mixing. Also, if you're mixing in a genre where you're not really using too much low end, then go ahead and, either buy a really pair of nice small speakers like I did, or you could just go ahead and save yourself some money and just instead of spending, these were $350 a piece, and also these were $350 a piece. So that's what I'm saying. Instead of spending $350 on the 8-inch monitor like this, you can go ahead and, get like a 5-inch or a 7-inch that's a little cheaper. Save yourself like $100 per speaker. Or you could just do what I did and buy some really nice small monitors. Yeah, these are like some of the best speakers I've ever heard. So, and then this, something like this, especially this Atom, I just want to say, you can hear the bass. And I've also had a pair, these are the best small monitors I've ever heard heard in my life. I also had a pair of Leases M150 active monitors. Like, it's just no comparison, like hearing the bass and the clarity and everything. The reason I got such a small pair of monitors and this big pair is for reference monitors, because most music today is made on, I mean, not made, but listened to and consumed on very crappy speakers, like, you know, just speakers in my laptop. Yeah, most people listening to it on their iPhone, you know, iPhone headphones and earpods, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Earpods don't have ribbon tweeters and silk ribbon tweeters. And so again, I got a small pair of speakers to mimic basically what people would be hearing on their iPhones or what they would be hearing on their laptop speakers, or, you know, whatever crappy pair of speakers or headphones they're gonna wind up listening to it on. But that's the whole reason I got these, to basically be able to mimic that. So you should, you know, keep that in mind when you're buying these speakers, especially if you got a small space and you can only afford one. You got to think about things like, all right, which monitors am I going to buy that's going to help me achieve the best mix? Well, you're never going to achieve the best mix in a small room if you can't turn the speakers up, or if the room is just untreated, you're getting too many early reflections, too much vibrations. The monitor is just not going to be sound as accurate as they're made to sound. So I would typically get something small like this and get a sub, because that way you can mimic that radio sound or that iPhone headphone sound, and then you can also turn your low end on if you want to go ahead and buy a sub. But just like I said, that's only if you're producing, you know, deep house or hip hop, anything with a lot of low end. But if you're not really worried about the low end, I would definitely get something small like a Yamaha HS5 or something like that. I know guys are gonna say stuff like, well, what about KRK and what about, you know, Mackie and all these other things? I'm gonna just be honest with you, man. If I was gonna choose a pair of monitors, like if I had to choose one, like these are the Goldilocks monitors, man. Like they just perfect. Like that's why you see so many Yamahas in so many studios. It is the Goldilocks monitor, you know what I mean? And then you get into things like Adam and, you know, Focal and head monitors, Eve Audio. You know, those are the expensive ones, but like this is like the Goldilocks monitor, like the studio standard monitor, and that's why I love them so much. But yeah, so size, you gotta pick a size that you guys want. So then that's gonna depend on your room size, just like I said. And also look at your features. Like if you're in a really small room, hey, you might want something with front firing bass ports. And also I really love this because they have front facing control, like you know what I'm saying, and a LED on the front. This has an LED on the front but no front facing controls. It just makes it easier when you're in the studio. So let's talk about things like the high ends on things. So just like I said, when you're talking about high end and mid and stuff like this is just going to be just as good as this. But this, a big speaker like this separates itself in the low end. Like seriously, it's these 8-inch monitors sound like you got a sub sometimes. So if you guys are in a large room, I would go ahead and get 8-inch monitors, man, because you'll regret not getting it. Just unless you don't need them. Just like I said, don't buy enough you don't need, because unless you just got the money in the space, that's, you know, that's different. But a lot of people don't. So I'm trying to help, you know, people like that. So if I was producing in a large room as I am, I would have a pair of 8-inch monitors. Definitely Yamaha HSH. Like this is my favorite. I've produced on these for a long time. I had some JBLs before that, and the JBLs were clear, but these are like the best. These have been my favorite for a long time, I should say. But now that I got these, I'm in love. So now that we talked about like room size and speaker size, there's also the qualities that you're looking for, like price range. This Yamaha HSH was $350. This Adam was $350. You see where I'm going with this? Like it depends. The quality of the monitor depends on, and the size is going to depend on the price. So this is a 4.5-inch monitor. Adam's 8-inch monitors are $1,000 per speaker versus this 8-inch monitor being $350 per speaker, and they get cheaper. Like Adam also makes the 8-inch monitor, the TV8, if I'm not mistaken. They're budget monitors with the silk ribbon tweeter, which I do recommend, you know, in their TV8s or the TV7s or the TV5s, because I mean, well, you're getting a budget monitor that has a silk ribbon tweeter. You really can't beat that. I mean, I would have suggested these for a long time, but like now Adam has those TV8s out. It's really hard to always want to go with Yamaha, because I just love this tweeter, man. Like it's really out of this world. But just like I was saying, price wise, like this was $350 versus this was $350, or you know what I mean, or you can go get the 8-inch TV8, which is $300. You know what I'm saying? The Adam TV8 is actually cheaper than the Yamaha HSH. And then you got things like KRK. I'll produce on KRK. It's not really my favorite because it's really like the bass. It's really, all of the speakers are really low and heavy, even the smaller ones. And I think sometimes, you know, depending on who you are, the speakers will lie to you. And depending on what type of room you set up. Maybe I've heard them in crappy, you know, set up rooms, and maybe that was the issue. But KRK to me, it's not really one of my favorite, nor is Mackie. JB, like my top 3, if I had to pick budget monitors, would be Yamaha, Adam, and JBL. Like those are the top 3 budget monitors difference for me. The 5-inch pair of JBLs that I had, like they were 5-inch tweeter, 5-inch cone or whatever like that. So the difference between those and these, yeah, you can hear a lot more. You know, the bass is more, I won't say pure sound in the high end and the low end, but those 5-inch speakers, the high end and the mid range, but the low end was terrible, and I always found myself turning the bass up too much. Just like I said, I should have had a small pair of monitors and a sub in that room instead of trying to force those small pair of monitors to, the low end to sound good on it. It just didn't. So my mixes would always come out terrible. Would come out terrible and be way too bass heavy because I'm overcompensating for what I couldn't hear in the monitor. So once I got an 8-inch monitor, yeah, it helped. But still, just like I said, that's when I ran into problems with, speakers knocking shit off my neighbor's walls. So I wish I really, had a sub set up that I could have turned on and off in that old space. But that's why I went ahead and copped these. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm just trying to help you pick monitors based off the size of your room, your needs, what type of music you're producing. There's a lot of factors that go into that when you're choosing studio monitors, and that's why I wanted to make this video for you guys. So I hope it helped. So like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to visit my website, ThouxanbanFauni.com, and smash that notification button.